What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building. You feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks. All right, let's get straight right into it. So you already know. My goodness, man! Last night was the NBA draft, and a lot of obviously Raptors fans were excited, and then a lot of fans were disappointed, and some fans obviously are still excited and are up tempo, upbeat, and happy about Masai and just the Raptors organization in terms of their decision of drafting who they drafted. So we're gonna obviously get into the nitty gritty. Like, bro, you gotta I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna really get into it. We're gonna go into context. We're gonna talk about the conversation at hand, because again, this is a dilemma. This is more so, it's just, we'll talk about it. If you didn't watch my previous video, before watching this video, I do encourage that you go watch that if you can. Again, that's the previous video on who the Raptors better draft. I just did that, a couple hours before the draft. Unfortunately, I didn't mean to only do a couple hours, supposed to be out before, but technicalities and all that type of stuff. But go watch that video. And if you can, at the end of the day, still subscribe to your boy. Click, the notification button below, so you know when I'm here. Because I'm here, you feel me? I got that IQ. That's what I do. So again, click the, notification button. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. You get what I'm saying? Now let's go straight right into it, boy. We're not going to waste no time. No time going to be wasted, fam. Listen, at the end of the day, you got to understand something. Like, bro, this love for role players, like, it's just atrocity, man. Like, this, oh, and Masai we trust, Masai we trust. How many times can you trust? How many times can you trust? Mans didn't learn and learn and learn from the mistake after mistake after mistake. Masai is not no scrub. Masai is elite. No one understand that. But there's a difference between being under the radar elite and then when it's time and you have to, being that elite when, everyone knows those under the radar moves, those initial moves, those beginning moves. It's time now. Now we here. Advance past that. And that's where there's a hierarchy. You know what I mean? Perfect example is like, obviously, I don't think it's not fully the example, but it's similar. Just like coaching, right? You got Mark Jackson with the Golden State Warriors, right? He was great in the nitty-gritty under the radar. You got the Brad Stevens, too, where they're nitty-gritty under the radar. They have more role players and all that type of stuff. You're going to get the best out of them. But now, when you now get to that point of evolution, get to that point of winning a ring, get into that star-studded, everyone's a star now, we have high expectations. You need the next coach, which was Steve Kerr. He's the one that took them to newer heights, took them to the 73-9. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And that's where it's like, you could see Masai, even with and it's not no knock against Masai. I like Masai, you already know, but I'm starting to see, I'm just real, recognize real. I don't have no biases. I just call what it is. And you seen Masai when he was with the Denver Nuggets, under the radar, when he first was getting there, elite, all these elite moves, and all these, even the trade, getting this piece back, like all of this elite moves. Gets with the Raptors at the beginning, all these elite moves, trading the Barani contract, right? All of these elite things and, getting out of holes and all of that. But now when you now get to the point, especially that elite move to get Kawhi, and now when you get the ring, and now it's like, where do we go from here? Drop the ball. We're not saying yes to that trade for the Pascal, and Van Vliet and all these whatever guys. I forgot who exactly it was, but basically the Pascal, I think OG, and I'm pretty sure, was it Gasol? I'm not too sure who it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Pascal and OG for the Paul George, and Westbrook trade, which now would enable Kawhi to sign, so you have a trio. Didn't do it. Said no to it. Because of what? The love for Pascal, because that's basically like, his African brother, his African son. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the love for Pascal, right? Signing Pascal to that lucrative contract, to that big contract, right? Does it look like it's panning out worth it? Let's be honest. Because if you sign that guy that's supposed to be a franchise player, why is it all of a sudden he's in trade talks 2 years removed? It don't work like that. The trajectory ain't like that. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Now you're starting to see moves be like, okay, what are we really doing? What are we really doing? Not pulling the trigger on certain moves, allowing certain things. That Kyle Lowry trade in the trade deadline didn't pull the trigger, right? Where you could have got the eyeball on all these guys from the Philly. You didn't pull the trigger on multiple teams. You didn't pull the trigger. Now Lowry might go for nothing, right? You're starting to see like that kind of cloud where it's like, yo, we have to get back to championship caliber. I have to get back to, we're dropping down. That's the other spectrum that Masai hasn't ever been a part of. He's normally been on the part of we're under the radar and we accelerate. But now when you get to this point and you plateau and you're starting to decline, can you get back to the acceleration? Can you get back, and accelerate back and get back to where you need to be or rebuild quicker and all that type, you know what I mean? That's where you've seen, Danny Ainge has done that because you've seen him be elite, then they decline a little bit, then come back with the Tatums, you know what I mean? Making the right picks. Like, being in position to get the picks is one thing, but making the right picks is another thing. And that's where you haven't seen, if you look at, there's positives that Masai has, but there's also negatives when you look at the Bruno pick, right? Even the ninth pick, the Jakob Poeltl, like you have guys like that, they're great role players and solid role players, but in positions where you should be, there's other guys pretty much stars in the making, or at least better caliber players, better upside, you let go and you don't pick because of this role player under the radar love, type of thing. And all of us, and honestly, you kind of had red flags with the Bruno and you had certain anomalies with the bad picks that Masai did. But overall, because remember, Masai came 2013 and that was his first draft. He picked Bruno. He's KD from KD. Like, remember that. Don't forget that. He's 5 years from 5 years. Like, come on now. Let's be real. Don't forget that. I'm trying to give y'all perspective. Because it's not just going to be just straight yelling. We're going to have to give that IQ as well, too. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at it from that perspective, man, it's like, dog, there has been concerns, or there has been those bad picks. Not a lot, but some bad picks. And there's been a lot of great role, like the Pascal, the OG. Like, there's been a lot of great, role player type of picks. Even DeLon Wright, with 20. And then remember, OG's 23, Pascal 27, Malachi Flynn 29. Like, you got some great solid picks, right? Jakob Poeltl was 9. That's 9. That's pretty low. That's pretty high in the draft. So it's like, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be like, this is what I want to say before I even get into that. When you have a top 4 pick, like those picks that I just mentioned to you, the Pascals, and you have great role players or solid role players, and you're getting those guys, OG type of caliber guys, it's okay when you're drafting later in the first round and, from even like 12, 13, 10, even sometimes 10 down, you're not always going to get a star. You're not always. Or a guy that even might be potentially be, seen as a star might just end up being a role player, right? Depending on situation. Like, that's where situation sometimes more so, it's dependent on the situation. Because there's guys who are later in the pick that are end up stars. There's guys later in the pick that aren't end up stars. You know what I mean? It's a seesaw. You don't know which one. But your top 4 pick, how many top 4 picks are actually role players? Unless they were as a star and they were sussing, or the situation didn't work out in that star like what they thought they're going to be. And then now they're kind of, coming back and they have to buy into a role player role to actually just stay in the league. Later down the line, couple years, 7 years, 6 years, 8 years removed. Right? That normally your top 4 picks aren't ever going, they're normally at least an all-star. They're guaranteed all-star most of the times. I would say probably 60% if I had to guess. You don't pick in the top 4 for a role player. You don't do that. You don't do that. So again, people are like, what are you talking about, Banks? So the Raptors, they pick Scottie Barnes. And this is not no knock against Scottie Barnes. This is not the player individually. Remember, a lot of people are like, oh my God, he has upside. He has this. He's looking like Giannis when he first drafted Giannis. They're like, mans will say anything to believe anything. You know what I'm saying? When you look at him, he don't look like Giannis. He looked like an OG prototype. But again, I do get the understanding from the Giannis perspective in terms of vision, whatever. He's basically more so like a Ben Simmons, Giannis, Pascal type of player, right? That's where you get from him. But but his ball handling is not even like hella elite, which I'm not knocking him. I'm just comparing him. It's kind of like OG too. When you first saw OG with his handling, it's kind of like choppy, but it gets the job done. Spin like the right moves at the right time. You know, he has IQ. He's a high IQ player. It's not like he's not a good or solid player. It's not about that. It's not about Scottie Barnes individually. Individually, he's not no scrub. Individually, he is a solid pick. He has versatility. He has length. He's a unique player in his own right. So I do understand the Giannis comparison. But remember, Giannis was never seen on these stages. Giannis was never seen. He was only seen overseas, and you had to gamble on him, and even then it was 13. So you could get away with it. Top 4, that's why no one picked him top 4. Now, obviously, the trajectory down the line, you see what he's doing, and he has a ring now. It's kind of like, oh, look at what you guys at the top 4, you didn't pick him, and obviously everything is hindsight with the draft. I'm not even talking about from a hindsight perspective. I'm strictly talking about not even an individual perspective from Scottie. I'm looking at the context of what's at hand for the team. The context is people make a mistake where they look at things individually from the player. Why people not high on Scottie Barnes? Like, yo, oh my goodness, individually, player development and Raptors and this, you know, they've done this with OG, they've done this with Pascal, X, Y, and Z, and you know, Raptors fans are one of the worst. And you know, I like Raptors. But let's be honest, Raptors fan base will lie to themselves about anything, and then all of a sudden they're fuming and they're enraged later down the line. Because every single Raptors fan was boosting Pascal. Now mans are happy to get him, put him on the trading block and get rid of him. 2 years only. Raptors fans are one of the most emotional fan bases you'll ever see. They'll tell themselves anything and believe anything. Like that's why you know what I mean? That's what they do. Let's just be honest. And I know a lot of y'all are going to be, oh my God, you're bashing Raptors fans. Listen, if you're one of those sensitive fans, you know, and you're going to get mad about that, then you're going to get mad about that. At the end of the day, just own it. Y'all think with your emotions and think with your heart and not your mind. Let's be honest. And even when you use your mind, you're still hella biased. And honestly, most fan bases, you're going to be biased or whatever. But there's difference between the IQ and just blindly love. Like this blind love and blindly lying to themselves is actually reckless. Mans are telling themselves Scottie Barnes is Giannis. Like, that's what Mans is doing. And no one's saying he won't develop and he's not going to, like, that's not the point. No one's knocking Scottie Barnes individually. Again, the context is about what did you give up? It's not about the player individually. Can he develop? It's about what you could have had. What you gave up. What you gave up to get that guy is what matters, especially in the top 4 draft. Which is why the guys who didn't get the Tatums, who didn't, like, they're looking at them like, yo, what are y'all doing? The guys who didn't get Luka, what are y'all doing? At this point, and it's funny, and this is why it's more crazy to me. This is probably one of the worst ones in recent history for the Raptors where they sussed the pick. I know the Andre Barney, they didn't choose Rudy Gay or whatever, but Andre Barney was bucket getting. He was just too early. If Andre Barney was in this league, he would have been like a Porzingis. Like, that's what he would have been. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was just too early. Going to the paint, you're soft. Like, if he was in this league, this space in this league, Andre Barney he might have been a superstar in this league. Let's be honest. So it's not like those one that people, I know people in hindsight are going to roast that pick and whatever, but I wasn't even mad at that because I saw what he was doing and I kind of like, it was like Nowitzki-like with more mobility. That's what you thought and that's what you expected. But again, now it's like, oh, you need to bang on the block. You need to do this. Like, it was more old school minded, wasn't kind of erased. It was the transition phase from the old school or the, you know, from the not fully old school, but, you know, mid-level, like the Kobe era, Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, all you're transitioning to a newer phase, right? To like the newer, the KDs and what, like you're transitioning. It wasn't even there yet. So that's when like the league didn't fully change, but it was starting to. So, you know, that's where it's like you still have the old school KGs and like, you know what I mean? That's where it's like, so you could see the transition phase and where there was a kind of like, he was just too early. Andre Barney. But at the end of the day, it's not about him. The point is, there's been other years that the Raptors have made a mistake. Maybe the Rafael Arujo might be the worst one. You know what I'm saying? But there's other years that they've made mistakes and whatever. But in recent times, even when they've made a mistake or they've like, done something like reaching or going for the underrated guy and it's not the time to do it. It's a time where it's like it's lower on the draft. It's not a top 4 pick. You get what I'm saying? And them doing it now is just it's unsettling. It's it's not, as a Raptors fan or someone just IQ wise, man. Like, you always want to see the best fits possible so you could get, you know what I mean? Just as a hooper, just as a basketball, fanatic, and just, you don't want to see fugaziness. You don't want to see fugaziness. Now, again, people are going to think that I'm trying to knock on Scottie Barnes or anything. It's not about that. You know what I mean? I'm going to talk about more, obviously, as we keep going. I'm going to talk about what this means for the Raptors. Most likely just, kind of just gauging with IQ and kind of, just doing a assessment and an analysis based off of the pick, kind of gauging what the Raptors, where their head is at, where their direction that they're trying to go in terms of player, signing and whatever, what they're trying to do in terms of their roster. But, before we even get into that, the main thing is you had an opportunity to get a superstar-like player. Jalen Suggs, like, y'all saw, I did the breakdown. Jalen Suggs is literally a CP3 in Westbrook's body. That's literally what he is. Let's be honest. And I know the shot creating bag he didn't fully go into. Again, it's college. So that shot creating bag, you have to be real supreme confident and real supreme comfortable to apply a shot creating bag on an everyday, almost every take basis in college. That's why when guys, even if they average 12 points, but it's off bare shot creating, they even shoot bad percentages, they're going to look like this guy's going to translate to NBA because they know mans aren't running zone like that. There's no defensive three. There's defensive three in the key. Like, you can't just stay in the paint. This ball movement role player offense doesn't not like that. Them ones always translate and they get shown in the NBA. Like, you know what I mean? There's it's ISO heavy. A lot of room to work. A lot of bucket getting. Like, your talent will really stand out. Your swag, your ability, your arsenal will really stand out in college. Sometimes it's harder to do that with, shorter floor, shorter 3-point line, less spacing, no defensive three in the key, longer shot clock. Like, all of these things attribute to the shot creator sometimes a lot of the times being more efficient, right? Being more inefficient, and as well as they don't go deep into their bag because it's situationally, they're not enabled to, or, given the wheelhouse to. So when you look at it from that perspective, Jalen Suggs at moments has showed you shot creating bag, like in instincts where like he had to one-on-one because of the play. They're trying to come back, like even in, the March Madness, you see him do, stop on the dime, reverse pivot spins, shot creating bag, a 1-2 step back, a lot of floaters. Like, he literally is a CP3 bag. And CP3 had to learn and had to gain a shot from 3 over the years. He didn't just come in with an elite shot from 3. Jalen Suggs, his mechanics look like he could be a potent, at least a 40%, high 30% 3-point shooter from 3. Then you add the intangibles, you add, the grit, you add the defensive capabilities, you add the athleticism, right? You add the strength he even has as a guard. He goes downhill. He's not just a shot creator. He's literally everything. Can rebound, vision, like literally he's Lonzo, like I said, Lonzo, LeBron, them ones type of vision. Trae Young, like that's like his vision is top tier. Elite defense. Like, he literally is the full all-around package PG shooting guard. Even them saying he's a shooting guard, I would put him at PG like Westbrook. I'm not putting him at shooting guard. And not only that, if you now have him, it's like, you don't need to sign no Lowry. You have that's been the blueprint and the recipe for Raptor success is literally VanVleet Lowry. That's what it's been. Especially Lowry. Lowry has been the intangible guy, the heart and soul, all those little things, leadership, all of those things that he brings to the table. And he's even as a subpar shot creator, playing as a shot creator. And yet, regardless, his intangible, his fight, running down, like doing the right things at the right time, like taking charges, all of those things, Suggs does that on a higher tier in terms of just coming out the gate as a prospect. you know what I mean, at a bigger size. Like, come on, like, dog, it's literally, like I said, CP3 and Westbrook. Meaning the IQ, the intangibles, the shot creating of CP3, putting in a Westbrook body with the athleticism, running downhill in the paint, a relentless, rebounding, stat, like he's going to get triple-double. Like, that's what you see from this guy. That's what he is. That's what Suggs is, man. And it's like, that could change your whole franchise because I promise you, it will be automatic winning out the gate. This is a guy who's elite at football, elite at basketball. Like, guys like that you don't pass upon, especially at a top 4 pick. Like, that superstar, all-star, perennial all-star talent just waiting to be taken. And then what do the Raptors do? Like, very fitting of the Raptors, go against the grain and go pick Scottie Barnes, the guy who has no shot, he's hella limited. And I mean, he has shot here and there, and it's like he doesn't pull at all. I'm not going to say he's a Ben Simmons because he actually pulls it. He shot 1 point something threes per game or whatever. And don't even look at the stats. Like, you've seen him in the games. He shot threes like here and there once in a blue moon, but he even has hit big threes once in a blue moon. So it's not like he can't shoot at all, right? It's not like that. But he's not even close to a potent shooter. He's not pulling in the gaps. He's not doing any of that shit. He's basically doing your typical Giannis type, you know what I mean, Pascal type of play style. That's his play style. And you already have a Pascal, so it's redundant. So, you know what I mean? It's like, do you really go for if this was the 15th pick, the 12th pick, the 10th pick, I'm not even mad if they do this. But at the 4th pick, when you have a top 4 guaranteed, even if they didn't take Suggs, maybe they take a Book Knight. Maybe they take Davion Mitchell, like I said. Like, you're now deciding which type of all-star you want, basically. Now you're going for a guy who could be, like, all the signs show you he's just a role player. And then once in a blue moon, his ceiling is Giannis. Like, even Giannis didn't think he was going to be Giannis. Y'all are really going to guess like that when you have, like, oh, man, it's frustrating, yo. It's frustrating because it's like, dog, this was it. This was the one. People were saying, oh, they still have Malachi. They still have this. Like, come on now. Malachi, he's nice, but you would want him, especially if you want a win now mentality and a win now, like, trajectory. You would want him not as just starting PG. You want him coming off the bench, getting crucial, very crucial minutes, doing a Cameron Payne. That's what you would want him to do. And then eventually, maybe if Van Fleet moves on, he elevates, right? Like, out the gate, you don't want Malachi Flynn to be, the Lowry. You don't want that. If you're just using IQ, you don't want that. He needs to be groomed. Like, you want him in a Cameron Payne, six man, Lou Will type of, you want him in that position. That's the position you want him in. Van Vliet, like when he first came, Van Vliet wasn't starting. Van Vliet was coming off the bench and just, putting in that work. That's what you would want from Malachi. Like, you have 2 OGs, 2 Pascals on the same team now. Like, and you don't want limited guys, especially when you already have an unlimited guy. And now, obviously, this shows indications that you might trade Pascal, right? Because you got the newer version of Pascal, the 2.0 version, right? Remember, they wanted Giannis as well, too. They didn't get it. So now it's like they have a love. They were waiting for that type of guy. That's why they're so amped to, draft Scottie Barnes. And it's like, dog, what are you really going to get for Pascal even if you trade him? If this is indications that Pascal isn't staying. If you're trying to trade him. You're not going to get elite. You're not going to get some, like, the talent you're going to get other role players back. You're not going to get, or like a player who could be, has maybe digressed and he's trying to get back to potential star. Maybe like a Wiggins or something. That's the best. Like, if they got Wiggins, that would be the best case I think they would get for Pascal. I don't think any other guy they're going to get for Pascal that has that potential or shown you something. Like, you're not going to get that. You're going to get more role players and solid, crucial guys. That's what you're going to get for Pascal. Like, that's what I see. Especially for his money. Like, you're not, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. So it's like the chances you even trade him for even elite or something like that is like, that's not really it. So you're going to get the same guy of him, same version of him. And then not only that, if you look at it, they're saying, oh, they're going to pursue Alonzo Ball. They're going to pursue these couple point guards, whatever the case is. they still have to choose the Raptors. Mans are acting like that's guaranteed. Like the draft is the only thing guaranteed for the Raptors because I pick and you come to my team. Like, what are we talking about? Mans are hopes. When has free agents just willingly come to Toronto? Mans had Kawhi and he left. Like, don't mans understand? At some point, when you keep doing the same shit, hoping different results, it's redundant. Like, that's what I love what Houston did, man. Houston, like, got it right. They already have KPJ, which they, in part of trade, whatever. Get Jalen Green. Get Josh Christopher. Like, those three, like, dog, that's a young OKC type of trio. Like, that's elite. That's what elite looks like, man. You take the best available 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10. If it's not a big man, the best available is going to be a guy who has offensively the least amount of weaknesses. And that's what they got. Like, they have the athleticism. When athleticism meets shot creator, that's the perfect combination for a young guy. Like young Kobe, young Levine, young T-Mac. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And that's where it's like, Suggs obviously isn't a young T-Mac like that. But like I said, he's a CP3. He's a Westbrook CP3. He's a combo. Like, he's really that. At worst, 6'4", he becomes a CJ McCollum. That's not elite. That's not a guy who could close. That's not a guy who has winning mentality. Like, come on now. Like, that's still elite regardless. I'm telling you, man, like, you're hoping, you're weighing on a limb that Scottie Barnes is going to be some young, like, I just don't agree with it. This love for role player play and pick and, oh my God, he's going to be like, dog, down the line, like I said, if that was later down the draft, I have no problem. Like, you can't be picking a role player at number 4 and hope a role player becomes a star. How many role players become a star? It don't happen, rarely. That's an anomaly. That's if the guy was already always should have been a star and was playing as a role player due to the situation. We're not talking about it like out the gate like dog. Oh, man. Anyways, I'm not going to keep going on about that. But at the end of the day, like, Raptors fans, man, you have to do better. You have to, like, just call out foolishness when you see it. Man, y'all did this for Pascal. And now look, y'all did the exact same thing for Pascal. Develop, say that. Limited guys in this new era. I'm telling you, it don't work. Same mans did this for Ben Simmons. Now those are the two guys. Look at the two guys that are they're trying to get them on the next ship smoking. Pascal and Ben Simmons. These are the same man saying Pascal was better than Tatum. Pascal's better than Levine. And now look, like, this is what I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Just listen. Like, when TRU talks, you listen. Just listen to IQ, man. Bro, dog. That actually cheesed me. And the crazy part about it is I knew. That's why you see me in my last video. I said this Scottie Barnes, like, don't do it. The limited, don't do it. Because I knew. It. Always Raptors will. It's fitting for the Raptors to sus. Raptors and the Knicks are the two franchises that will have a silver platter on the table for you. And then they just, nah, man, I'm not hungry today. Like, that dog, that's what they do. And then, rarely does it work or does it pan out, but sometimes it does. Honestly, like, I think Scottie Barnes individually is solid. I think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be a scrub. I think he's going to be solid. I think he's going to be good, but it's just about what you gave up. What you gave up versus what you took, or what you took now is like, that's where the problem is. It's not about the player individually. It's not thinking, Scottie's never going to get better, or he's going to be this scrub, or keep the same energy when he does, but great, you better not. Like, that's the point is, never did I knock him individually. Obviously, you talk about his game and break it down. He has weaknesses, whatever. But never did I knock his game individually that he won't get better and he won't have upside. That's not the point. The point is about what you could have had, what you gave up, what you missed out, what you didn't decide to choose. That's what it's about. Suggs is that guy. He is that guy. Now he's in Orlando with a bunch of overloading guards. I think Fultz, Cole, and him. Like, I know out the gate they should just start him. Definitely. Like, you know what I mean? But, You never know what they're gonna do. And now Suggs might be in one of those situations where he's in an Oladipo situation. He's in a situation where he should be good, but he's, there's a lot of redundant players. Maybe what the Kings are doing now, like Mitchell. He's in one of those situations where he should be, but it's like, Carson Edwards with Boston. He should be, but it's like, there's multiple, redundant, same type of positions. You're not really going to, you're the rookie, so you have to take the back seat. So it's going to be a long time before you actually break out and have your opportunity. Or even if you do have an opportunity, it's not like it's guaranteed. It's not, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it changes on an everyday basis when you have guys who play your exact play style. So, you know what I mean? Obviously, like, come on now, Davion Mitchell with the Fox, with Halliburton and Mitchell. It's like, God damn, right? You seen that same shit in the Hornets, which it did work for a little bit, Obviously, we seen, with the LaMelo, the Devontae, and the Rozier. And then now they get Book Knight. I like what some of these teams are doing with just the players they're drafting and the ability, come on, it's elite. And I just wish the Raptors at some point will stop this role player love. Stop this role player love. This affinity for role players. Stop it, man. God damn, yo. It's just cheesing me. But anyways, at the end of the day, again, they say in Masai we trust. I've been not doing in Masai we trust because the most recent things we tried to trust, the Pascal, look at the signing. All of letting Ibaka go, come on now, choosing Van Vliet. Now it does look like it's good. Maybe it's not. There's not, all these decisions aren't guaranteeing Masai we trust. Not doing the Paul George trade. Come on now, there's so many, the list goes on. The list goes on. But the list also goes on for things he's done great. But come on now, don't act like it's in Masai we trust. And it's not even the same situation. What elite draft pick that was supposed to be elite, that was supposed to be a KD, that was supposed to be a Giannis, hasn't panned out. The last KD they thought they had was Bruno. Until this day, the only Bruno they know is Mars. And maybe Masai was on Mars when he was about to pick Bruno, because that's how crazy he was moving. Come on now, man. Let's be real. Come on now. Let's be real. Just be real. I know mans are fans and whatever. Just be real. Call bullshit out when you see it. Again, time will only tell. With all these picks, time will only tell. Again, don't get it twisted. I'm not knocking these players individually. I'm just talking about comparisons and the ability that they possess and that they have at hand, right? In terms of, especially when we talk about what the Raptors need. The Raptors, that's their blueprint. Lowry, the combo guard, that's their blueprint. Finally, you can have a bigger version. It's dog, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but, we done with that one, and obviously, we'll go into more big news. Man. I appreciate y'all.